What is up, my fellow golf ball addicts? Welcome back to the channel. We are doing 3 distance golf balls today: the Pinnacle Distance, the Bridgestone Distance Force, and the Callaway CXR Power. Let's dive right in. Guys, as always, if you like this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. Anything you can do to help the algorithm. It helps the channel out so much. I appreciate it. We continue to grow, almost at 20,000. So thank you so much. I appreciate that. Now, when it comes to these golf balls, like I said, these are all distance golf balls. These are all, in my guess, probably more firmer, it's the World Long Drive ball, so let's be real here. It's designed for most likely fast swingers who just want a really long, forgiving two-piece golf ball that just, has a penetrating flight and goes as far as humanly possible. Nothing wrong with that. We've done a few of those in the past, but the big question is going to be, do these golf balls work for the average swinger? Because that's what I test from, is from more of an average swing standpoint. So that's going to be the big deciding factor. We're going to look at the numbers and the performance and see, based on that, if there's any telltale signs that show that maybe this golf ball is for extremely fast swingers. But who knows, maybe 1 or 2 of them might work for the average swing speed. We'll see, we'll find out. Let's go ahead and get into these 3 golf balls. Let's start with the Pinnacle Distance here, okay? So Pinnacle Distance is a golf ball that is the official World Long Drive golf ball of 2025. It comes out of the Titleist plant. It's owned by Titleist or Acushnet, whatever you want to, umbrella. It's all umbrella now. But anyway, so this is a golf ball that comes in a 15-pack for $20, and that's just like the Rush, and that's just like the Soft. It's a pretty good value. It really is. You're getting the Titleist manufacturing process, which is great, but you're also only paying a little bit of money. I mean, almost basically $1 a golf ball. That's pretty darn good. Here's where the disappointment happens, though. We have reached out to Titleist, a couple of you golf ball addicts did, and we got the same response. The the Pinnacle Rush and the Pinnacle Soft have been discontinued. This golf ball is supposed to replace those, and that I could have a problem with, because the Pinnacle Rush and the Pinnacle Soft are 2 of my favorite two-piece, more forgiving golf balls. They're fantastic. Like I just said, the value, the manufacturing process, all that stuff. This golf ball has high expectations. I mean, you're replacing those 2 golf balls. I expect this one to work for the average swing speed. Let's look at the design of this golf ball. If we look at the front here, it says Pinnacle, which Pinnacle's logo is whatever, I mean, it's whatever you want it to be. It's a cheaper golf ball. It is what it is. They could probably revamp it a little bit, but it does look a little cheap. As far as the actual, coating on the golf ball, it does look plasticky. It does look cheap, but that's okay. I mean, you're getting a great value, so who cares? Looking on the side here, it does say Distance. That's probably, just my opinion here, but that's probably the worst alignment tool I've seen. I mean, it's just, as far as lining up your golf ball, it has such a thin arrow. It just says Distance. I mean, that's going to be very difficult to do so. So if you're someone like me who likes to line it up, you're going to have to draw a line or put a golf dot or do something on it. It ain't going to work. Now, where Pinnacle has a little advantage over the other 2 is it does come in a yellow. It actually does have a yellow option, which is awesome. So if you like the high-vis color, you might lose a yard or 2 if you're a very, 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 very fast swinger with the yellow, but you'll be able to see it much better, so it has that option. Then we look at the Distance Force. Now, the Distance Force by Bridgestone is another model that I think is designed to rival the Pinnacle Distance, and what's cool about it is that I actually like this for Bridgestone, right? Because Bridgestone doesn't have a 2-piece distance golf ball. They have the E6 Soft, which is soft, and they have their E12 series, which is more of a 3-piece, softer. It's still for slower swing speeds based on my testing from earlier this year. And then they have their Tour lineup. But they don't have just a straight 2-piece distance golf ball. So I like this. They tried a couple years ago with the E9. Mixed results. I didn't care for it. A lot of other publications didn't. So I think they came back with this, and hopefully this one does a little bit better. But I think this is something that Bridgestone needed to add to its arsenal. So we'll see how that is. It could be really, really good. Now, this is exclusively sold at PGA Superstore. If you don't have one of those near you, you're going to have to order it online. There's no other place to get it. That is it. It is exclusively through there. It comes at a price point of $19.99 a dozen, but what's really cool is that you can always get the 2 for $35 deal. So basically around $17.50 a dozen, which is really cool because that puts it with the same value as the Titleist. So all 3 of these golf balls actually have exceptional value, especially when we get to the Callaway here in a second. So it's good to see that. You're not going to spend a lot of money even if you do want to try these. This golf ball has the Bridgestone B on there, which I'll tell you what, is starting to grow on me more and more. I really like that B. It's just so simplistic. I wish a lot of companies would go more simple and just really let their logo stand out instead of putting words, but that's just a personal opinion. Again, it does feel kind of cheap and plasticky. You're getting such a great value, who cares? Now this, I don't mind actually. This is a pretty cool alignment tool. It looks like a pencil basically, which I'm not normally a fan of, but it says Distance Force in there. I like the font. It's actually a pretty decent alignment tool. If I hold it up, you can see it. So I actually don't mind that at all. No yellow option though, unfortunately, but you know what, again, come on. And last and not least, we have the Callaway CXR Power. Now this golf ball's been around for a while. It's had a couple different variations. This new one, just like the Bridgestone, available only at PGA Superstore. That's it. It's the only place you can get it, and it comes at the same price point, $19.99 a dozen, but you can get 2 for $35. So it just puts it in that great value with all three. Like I said, all three of them are just insanely good value. You're not going to spend a lot of money. Hopefully, especially if the performance ends up being good as well, it could be a sleeper pick for some of you. Now, as far as the design goes, here we're looking at the Callaway. Callaway has an excellent logo with its old English style font. You know, I love that. This one actually does look a little different. You know, it looks a little cheaper. I don't know what factory they're using, but the Callaway just does look a little off. It is what it is. It still does use Callaway's hex dimple pattern though, which is very unique and it looks great. This actually probably looks the best out of all three of them as far as the cheapness, you know, the plasticky looking. Looks pretty good. Again, alignment tool, don't even get me started. You golf ball addicts know how I'm going to feel about that, so that's all I'll say about that. So all three of these golf balls are two-piece, you know, iometer or Surlyn blends. You know, they're designed to be the cheapest possible, but hey, some of those have been the best testing golf balls on the channel. So without further ado, let's go out to the chipping and putting green and let's see how they do greenside. Yeah, I mean, not really any rotation on the ball whatsoever. Just a nice soft landing. One more time here. Okay, high launch, which I'm surprised. Oh, okay. It doesn't feel firm, which is kind of crazy. It feels heavy, is what it feels like. It feels like the ball has a little extra weight to it. Obviously it doesn't, but that's just how the feel is coming off the club. It's not loud, there's no click. I mean, it's pretty dead. Okay, there was a little click. Yeah, I mean, the good news is it has a very straight roll toward the hole. It's very forgiving in that aspect. I mean, it's just, but there's no rotation. If you need checkup at all, this isn't going to be a golf ball for you. I'm going to run it back just to see. I just want to see if I can get a low spinner here and see if I can get any type of rotation. Okay. No, not even a little bit. I mean, that's a massive amount of rollout. Let me try like a cut. Okay, well, very high. Yeah, still no rotation. Still a firm release, even with a cut. Let me try a little left action here. No. Yeah, there's just no rotation. I mean, I would call it 0 to 5%. I mean, there's just zero on there whatsoever. Not necessarily a bad thing for beginners, intermediate golfers, just getting a nice consistent chip toward the hole and having a consistent rollout. That's a good thing, but if you're someone who demands, you know, any type of checkup, yeah, good luck, buddy. Okay, so a lot softer. A really weird bounce there. So again, high launch, just like with the other one. They do the high launch to kind of compensate for the fact there's no spin. That one actually did kind of have a buttery feel off the wedge. The other one did not. It felt heavy. This one felt a lot lighter. Okay, yeah, a lot of spring. No rotation, just shoots off the back. Again, that's what I expected. This one's got some bouncy ball though, that the Pinnacle did not have. Okay, nice, get in there. No, not even a little. I mean, cool, win the hole, but yeah, no, I mean, zero spin, just like the Pinnacle. Try a cut. Nope, no rotation. I mishit it, but still. All right. Okay, I did get a little left spin on that one, so that one's got just a touch more spin than the Pinnacle, but these are both below 10%. I mean, these are not gonna check up on a green for you. Okay, again, feels a little heavy. I did mishit it slightly. No rotation. Okay. I mean, just a tiny bit of amount of rotation. Again, no checkup, no bite. I caught it too much. It doesn't feel like the Pinnacle. The Pinnacle felt the heaviest of all of them. The other two kind of have this light, more crisp feeling and sounding, but I mean, these are both bare minimum. Very nice. Okay, so that at least checked up a tiny bit. We might be looking at like 15% here with this one. I want to verify that and just make sure that is correct. 1 second. Okay, get a low spinner there. I don't know. Maybe that was just a fluke. I'm gonna run it back real quick. All right, starting off Pinnacle Distance mallet putter. Let's see what we got. Okay, really nice roll. Very soft. There we go. Yeah, very beautiful feeling. I mean, soft, just a gentle push off of it. There's no chug effect. It feels fantastic. There's not a lot of sound. It's pleasant. It's very pleasant to putt. I love that. Okay, I mishit it, a little heavy. Doesn't matter. Still a great roll. Again, really soft, nice. I pulled that. That was on me. But again, very similar feeling to the Pinnacle, very similar. Oh, that's just a beautiful roll. Just a little too much by me, maybe a little too right. Yeah, that's just pretty incredible. Okay, a little heavy. Maybe it was a mishit. I didn't feel like it was, but let me see. Okay. They all feel very similar. You know, I'm sorry for being so quiet, but it's just, they all have a very similar feel. I mean, I like it. You know, these are pleasant to putt with. The roll is outstanding. All of them have this beautiful roll. I've seen zero chug effect, you know, and that's the benefit of putting with firmer golf balls. A lot of the time when you putt with firmer golf balls, even though you might see other areas in your, game, like for example, the chipping, we didn't have a lot of checkup, but when you putt with them, it's usually fantastic. And right now, these are all very, overuse of the word, but buttery and smooth. And I mean, they just come off the putter with just a touch of feedback. They come off the putter with just excellent, roll. And I mean, it's just, it's pleasant. And I don't see a lot of difference between the three. That's kind of what's been crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's just, they're easy to putt. You know what I mean? It's really easy to putt. So I love that for all three of them. I have nothing else to say. Let's get to the blade. Okay, so I heard the click that time. Oh. So that's twice in a row. It does, distance control, I lost a little bit with the blade here, so it takes a little more to get it there, which is interesting. But no, I mean, still really good. I do feel the feedback. The ball does feel just a tiny bit heavy. Now I'm starting to notice that, kind of like I did with the chipping. Yeah, there's just, it's not a perfect 10 out of 10 roll anymore. It's a 9 out of 10. It's still excellent, but I'm seeing a little bit of difference here with this putter. Again, just, I got in a rhythm with that mallet, and now the blade just doesn't get it there as far, so that's interesting. And now I got to put a little more on it. Yeah, I called that. That was a bank. Again, feel with this one, they all feel very similar. It's crazy. I know they come out of different factories because I know Titleist has got Pinnacle, but they feel exactly the same almost. I keep pulling. See now, and that's the danger. I talk about that a lot. The more you have to come back with a putter, the more room for error there is. Now you'll notice I'm starting to pull them a little bit, and so I don't like putting with a golf ball like this. I like mine to have a little bit more spring in them usually, but that's okay. That's not a bad thing, and some of you might like this. This is actually a really nice roll. Yeah, again, just beautiful roll. Mishit that one too. Yeah, a little bit of click again. All right, sound and feel, start with the Pinnacle. Sorry for how terrible this looks. We are right in the middle of hurricane season right now, and we're getting these tropical storms every day. And I mean, when I came out here, my mat had been lifted up and had been like moved because of the water. I mean, we got like 4 inches of water in a 30-minute period last night. Everything's just destroyed out here, so I apologize it looks so bad. It doesn't normally look this terrible, but it is what it is. Yeah, solid hit, wasn't bad. Didn't feel like it had a lot of explosive power. It was just kind of neutral. It didn't feel like it came off the club slow. It didn't feel like it was just a very basic neutral shot. Yeah, the feel is a little heavy, and the big problem I have is that it just doesn't feel like I'm getting the most out of the golf ball. You know, we'll see how the numbers are, but it just, even on pure strikes, it just doesn't feel like I'm getting 100% of it, you know, and I haven't had a miss hit yet. I'm gonna hit this one off the toe just to see. Oh, Jesus. Lord Almighty. Whew. Yeah, that's firm. That's why. That's a firm golf ball. Now, I will admit, there's a slight difference there. I caught that one, has a tiny bit more bouncy ball. So when I caught that one pure, it felt like it really was springing off. Not a ton, it's not the best I've ever seen, but definitely more than the Pinnacle. It's a step above that neutral like I talked about. Yeah, you know, and the miss hit feels a little better too, so that kind of, that checks. So even though these golf balls are very similar, there's a slight difference there. The Bridgestone feels a little bit more bouncy ball, just a smidge. It's a little bit better off the hands when it comes to the miss hits. It's not bad overall. Neither of them feel like butter or golden or anything, but anyway, let's see how the Callaway is. Oh, miss hit right off the bat. Kind of like the Bridgestone, you know, eh. Yeah, I mean, pure is pretty decent, yep. I'd call the pure a 3.5 out of 5. We don't do halves at the moment, so I'll bump it up to the 4. But yeah, that's, I mean, this and the Bridgestone feel eerily similar. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's good. When you hit it right, it definitely has enough feedback to let you know, hey, bud, great shot, you know, and you're like, okay, thank you. When it comes to the sound, all these are pretty subdued. I thought these golf balls would be a lot clickier, as firm as they are. Not the case, so interesting. Yeah, boy, I'll tell you what, that Callaway, when you hit it right, yeah, it's nice. So I would say the Callaway feels the nicest of the 3. It's all very, very, very close, but Callaway feels nicest on pure hits. All right, without further ado, let's talk some data. Let's get into these data numbers and see what we're working with here. Starting off with the 50-yard pitch, backspin RPM, we are looking at
7,910 with the Pinnacle Distance, 6,528 with the Distance Force, and 6,428 with the CXR Power. Definitely disappointing a little bit when it comes to those last two. I was hoping for at least around the 7,000 mark. It is what it is. I mean, it's a two-piece distance golf ball. Sometimes that happens. What these golf balls are doing, though, is they are compensating by having a really high launch for the low spin. So you'll notice the 30.2 from the Pinnacle Distance, that's actually already higher than my average. That's a high launch. So now when you look at the 35.6 from Distance Force, that's absurdly high. Like that's going to launch ridiculously high. Is that a bad thing? It can be. It depends on the golfer, right? If you're playing on a really windy course and, you know, the wind's blowing left to right or back or whatever, you don't want the ball launching that high. You want a low penetrating flight. But if you're in an area where there's not a lot of wind and you have smaller greens, and yeah, getting the ball up in the air isn't necessarily a bad thing, even for slower swingers sometimes if the conditions are met. So it can work, but let's be real, 35.6 is absurdly high. I call that sometimes hitting it over the net because I hit into a net. At 35.6, this ball did go over the net a couple times. That's way too high for me. I don't see a need for a golf ball to go that high.
Yeah, so I got to give Pinnacle the credit there. Actually a really respectable number and a high launch. So that's actually going to work double in your favor. Even though that's only a medium amount of spin, the fact that it has a medium amount of spin but such a high launch, in windy conditions it could get you in trouble, but if the wind's not that bad, that actually could have some pretty darn good stopping power. So I respect it, especially for a cheaper golf ball like this. The other two, it is what it is. Now, I want to get something out of the way right now. Now, this applies to the 50-yard pitch. This applies to pitching wedge. This applies to 7-iron, across the board, right? These golf balls are the worst I've ever seen when it comes to spin forgiveness. Now, what I mean by spin forgiveness is that when I mishit a golf ball, let's say I have a Titleist Pro V1, whatever, right? If I hit it really flush with a 50-yard pitch, I get 7,600 RPM, whatever, right? Okay, cool, good number. I mishit it a little bit. Let's say it's off the toe. Let's say maybe it's a little bladey, just a little off center, nothing crazy. Then I get, you know, 7,100. That's pretty good. It's not bad, right? I mean, and any golf ball could apply there, but that's pretty good. You only lose 500, 600 RPM. I would take that. These were like, and I kid you not, 7,000 if you hit it perfect. 2,000 if you mishit it. I've never seen that. And it was so, it wasn't a fluke because it was so consistent, right? I mean, I wish I should have taken a picture, but when you're scrolling through and I hit 15 shots and I remove the 5 worst ones and I'm left with the rest, the Pinnacle wasn't too bad, but the other two, the Bridgestone and the Callaway CXR, it was literally, 7,000, 2,000, 7,000, 2,000, 7,000. Like, you can tell it was just, all over the place. And if you slightly mishit it, you will lose. I saw so much 3,000, 4,000. And then, like I said, when you get into the pitching wedge here in a minute, same thing. My average with the pitching wedge right now is like 7,000 RPM for a full strike. I mean, it was going down to 3,000, and I was gaining an extra 15 yards because there was no spin. And if I had seen it once or twice, whatever, maybe the launch monitor misread it. No, I saw it multiple times, 5 to 6 to 7 times with golf balls. So keep that in mind. These golf balls, if they're not hit right, I mean, you might have a couple flyers. It's just on the table. I just wanted to let you know that. Let's look at the pitching wedge now. We are looking at
95.3 with the Pinnacle Distance, 90.7 with the Distance Force. Ouch. 93.6 with the CXR Power. So the final two, again, are below average. Pinnacle Distance does just barely squeak out in the average mark. One thing I'm surprised by is the spin. I did not expect there to be green spin all throughout, especially when we just talked about the spin forgiveness. I mean, it's bad. So this golf ball has the potential to really spin and rip back, which is surprising for this type of golf ball. It's not common. When we look at the distances, though, that's where I really am disappointed. Now, Pinnacle's not the end of the world. I lost like 1.5 yards from my average, so it's just slightly in the red. I can deal with that, no big deal, especially considering the spin's in the green. But 112.9, 113.1, losing 10 yards from my average. Look at those smash factors. I mean, my smash factor average right now is like 1.22. That's pretty low, and I don't know what to call it. Now, I did want to launch high also, which did not work in the Distance Force's favor at all because it just wasn't coming off the club hot to begin with. So now high launch doesn't really, it's kind of like mixing oil and water together. Not a great combination. CXR Power, great spin, the best spin of the three, but a loss of 5 yards, terrible smash factor. I actually swung a little faster even, hoping to get a little more out of it. Just didn't. And so I would say the Pinnacle Distance is kind of like a, hey, you passed, but you're on thin water, you're on thin ice. But the other two, it's like, you're out of the race. You crashed on the first lap.
Yeah, so a lot of red there. So earlier in the video, I had mentioned we're going to be looking for telltale signs of whether or not these golf balls will work for a average swing speed or if they're meant for a faster swing speed. There's really an easy formula to determine that. If a golf ball struggles with the short wedges, ends up being average or, even bad to a degree with the 7-iron. But then when it comes to the driver, it performs. That's pretty much a for sure sign, right? Because what that's stating is that I'm only swinging the pitching wedge 78 mile an hour. It's not compressing enough. I'm losing distance. I'm losing spin, whatever the case may be. I'm not getting the right optimal launch level. There's a lot of factors in play there, right? Well, that's kind of the case here. You see that. That's kind of the first check mark in our verification process. Just a lot of red, you know what I mean? Now, I am impressed with the spin numbers because I just told you the spin forgiveness isn't great with these golf balls. But if you do hit them correctly, they actually do check up. They have RPM spin, which is really great. So that's great to see. I did not expect that. It's highly respectable. With that being said, the standout there is the Distance Force. I'm not sure what happened with that. Launched really high for some reason and also just, an abysmally low distance number total. Nothing there's fantastic, but obviously I have to give Pinnacle the lead there. Let's get into 7-iron now and see how that is. We are looking at...
Well, that's definitely a lot of red. Let's kind of dissect this and see what we're working with here. So all of the ball speeds are pretty the same. 114, 114.2. Spin RPM, 5,245, 5,249. Those are actually respectable for a two-piece distance golf ball, but they are below my average, so they are still red. The Callaway, though, you can see the 4,791. That is ridiculously low. That's going to have a very hard time holding a green. A lot of it had to do with that spin forgiveness we talked about. And you'll notice down there at the bottom, the Callaway is the only one that has a yellow and a green in there with the distance. And the reason for that is because of that spin. It's easy to gain an extra 3, 4, 5 yards when you have ridiculously low spin. So even though those are there and they're yellow and green, I take it with a grain of salt. To me, it's still a red because if I can't hold the green, the distance doesn't mean a lot. Pinnacle is close again. It's very close. It's not the end of the world being in those numbers. I actually like the launch angle, 16.9, but the other two are just ridiculously low, which is another sign of a really, fast swinging 115 mile an hour, golf ball. Overall, there's just not a lot to talk about there. There's not a lot of great numbers. It's pretty much it all should be in the red, but because of that low spin, there's at least one green, whatever.
Since the channel has been growing so much, I've actually seen a lot of criticism lately, and it's mainly on the idea of golf ball forgiveness. I've seen this in Reddit forums and forums on my Golf Spy, and I want to talk on this about why. Now, there's a lot of people who are going to tell you golf ball forgiveness isn't real, and I understand why they say that, and I understand what they're getting at, because they're saying like, oh, it's not a real thing. Right. But in a relative term, it is. There are golf balls that perform better depending on your swing speed and the compression of the golf ball and how the golf ball is made, that on off-center hits, they will perform a little bit better than others. And what I'm talking about is that when I test from the human element, not robot, but human, I do have some that are going to be right here. This is my 7-iron, by the way. Pretty small face, even for a super game improvement iron. Right here's the center. This right here is a pure, right? And is that going to happen occasionally? Sure, right? But you're also going to see a lot of this. And this, and maybe this, and this, right? And these are all good strikes. Anywhere on this face is a good strike, but you're going to see a loss in distance. It's not going to be pured. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused. They're like, well, you can't judge a golf ball based off mishits. Well, absolutely I can. But I think that when people hear the term mishit, they think of a shank, or they think of like off the toe, or like a complete blade. No, I'm talking about anywhere in this area right here in the center. You know, off-center strikes can lose distance, and what I have found is that firmer golf balls, especially for average swing speeds and slower swing speeds, you lose a lot more distance. That's what happened here with these numbers, right? There were times, and I would say realistically, based on what I've seen, an average golfer will only pure, hear that word? Pure, right here, the ball 2 out of 10 times, 3 out of 10 times. It's not a lot. It's hard to do. Now, I might hit one here, which is a good strike. You could even call it a great strike. It's not pured. The reason that's important is because when it comes to the golf ball forgiveness, the Pinnacle Distance here, when pured, oh baby, 117, 118 mile an hour, 170, 175 distance, great. Slightly off-center hits, rattled my hands, I lost 15 to 20 yards. And when you average all that out over 10 shots, you take away the 5 worst and you have 10, this is what you're left with. All 3 of these golf balls suffered on that. They're not very forgiving. Again, we also go back into that spin forgiveness. You saw the low spin numbers. Actually, overall, the Pinnacle and the Bridgestone were pretty decent for a distance golf ball. 5,200 is right where I'd want it to be for this type of golf ball, so I don't mind that. But there were some that were very low. Slight miss hits, I was getting 2,500, 2,700. That could be an issue. You could fly the green, you could hit the green and roll to the back. It's a problem. But I wanted to touch on that real quick because I've had a lot of questions on it. But I've been testing golf balls for 5 years, and I promise you, I have enough data to back that up. I'm very confident in it. All right, let's get into the driver last but not least. Let's see how these numbers are. We are looking at...
Now that we get into the driver, the numbers are starting to look really similar. There's a lot of good stuff here. There's a lot of green. When it comes to ball speed, 145.1 is right up there with the top dogs that I've seen on this channel. That's fantastic. Now, granted, the swing speed was a little faster, but that 1.47 smash factor, again, is right up there at the top. I love to see that. A nice mid-spin, nothing wrong with that. The only thing with the Pinnacle Distance is that low launch. That is ridiculously low. I really wish it had just been, 17 or 16 would have been awesome, because I probably would have gained another 10 yards carry. It could have been number 1 for this year in driver distance, but it is what it is. Now, the Distance Force, a great number, a little too high a spin compared to the other one, especially when you look at the other 2 golf balls, but the distance for all 3 balls is pretty much the same. 231, 231, 231, 242, 239, and 241. The spin kind of knocked a couple yards off of the total rollout from the Distance Force. There's a lot of green there. There's a lot of good things to talk about. I just wish these golf balls had launched a tad bit higher, because from the testing this year, anything around the 16 to 18 range for me has just been peak. It's been awesome.
And like I mentioned before, this is where that comes into play. This is the last telltale sign. All 3 of these golf balls had above average on the smash factor. They all had an excellent ball speed. Again, I got to give the lead to Pinnacle there. Pinnacle's kind of commanded this whole review. Good for them. But when it comes to just the overall driver performance, there's a lot of green there. And we saw red, red, red throughout this whole thing. Now all of a sudden we get to the green and it's like, it's all green. And so I love to see that. But yes, these golf balls are obviously for faster swingers. All right, let's get over to the computer real quick and let's touch on some accuracy and dispersion. Let's see what we got.
Starting with the Pinnacle, we have an excellent dispersion chart here. So when we look at the 50-yard pitch, that's one of the best I've seen. That's exactly what I would want. Now, there was one that was really short, as you can see there, but who cares? I mean, 9 out of 10 are just all right there throwing darts. Pitching wedge, distance dispersion was actually better than I thought. You'll notice they're all about the same distance, but there is a little left and right here. It looks like one caught a little bit heavy and then one caught a little bit short. But I love the 3 dots right there in the middle that are close together. It's insane. Great. 7-iron is kind of all over the place. Like I said, that's kind of where I started to notice, some forgiveness issues with the golf ball, and it kind of shows there. Driver, all over, kind of sporadic. You want to be able to hit it correctly. If you don't, there's a little bit of punishment there. But I'll tell you what, I love the wedge and short iron dispersion and accuracy. It is really excellent. All right, so when it comes to the distance force, the accuracy on the 50-yard pitch is pretty good for the most part, but you'll notice a little bit of distance dispersion issues. It's not as good as the Pinnacle. Then we get into the pitching wedge, and I have no issue with that. There was one that was short, one that was left, but the other 8 out of 10 are all right there throwing darts. Awesome. 7-iron, I got to be real with you. I don't know what's going on here. We have like a braille pattern, and it's a snake on one side, and on the top part, it looks like I pulled 4 of them. There's no distance consistency at all there. Accuracy-wise, it's not the end of the world. It's okay, but when it comes to distance dispersion, it's just all over the place. I don't think there's a similar shot in there, which that could be really dangerous, especially for, beginner golfers or intermediate golfers. If you're still learning to hit your irons and you're still working on it, which most of us are, that's concerning. I mean, that could be all over the place. Driver, as far as the distance, was pretty good. I don't have a problem with that, but accuracy is just all over the place. It looks like, there was 4 or 5 right there, toward the middle left, which that's great, but there's some pushes there, and those pushes are pretty punishing. And the CXR Power 50-yard pitch, you can take it or leave it. I'm going to leave it. I have no use for that. Pitching wedge, pretty good, not bad. It's probably the worst of the 3, but worst is kind of a weird word there because it's still good, it's still solid, but it's just not as good as the other 2. 7-iron, again, I'm seeing something similar to the distance force, all over the place, really a lack of forgiveness there, and it shows. Driver, actually, that's the best driver dispersion of the 3. It's the distance is all spot on, the accuracy's great, all those are fairway finders. That's incredible. So if it comes to driver accuracy, the CXR Power is the winner, but when it comes to everything else, it's funny. These golf balls are kind of trading blows back and forth when it comes to dispersion and accuracy. They all do something a little different, and they're all king of something, but, they always have a negative somewhere. It's almost like they do something okay, something terrible, but something great on all 3 models.
All right, last but not least, let's touch on some durability. Let's start with the Pinnacle Distance, of course. Looking at this golf ball, now on the side over here, now hold on a second, which side is it? Okay. Right there, okay, this side. Okay, so full disclosure here, this is to measure spin, this little dot. I usually hit the ball over and over and over 75 to 80 times on this one side. I couldn't even tell at first, I had to look, so I would say it's pretty good, but let's go ahead and take a look here. As you can see from the golf ball, there is some wear and tear, but overall, it looks really great. It still feels phenomenal. I will admit that one side is a little bit sandpapery, but I mean, it's just a tiny bit, and you gotta remember, I hit the shots over and over and over on that one side. It should be more torn up than this. Look, for the price you're paying, for what it is, that's a 10 out of 10. This golf ball looks and feels great, and considering how many times I blasted this thing and I had to actually look back and forth to see which side, I mean, you can call it a 9.5 or whatever, but I don't do halves right now, doing them next year. 10 out of 10. That's really impressive, especially for the value. Come on, that's great. Then we get into the distance force and looking at this. Now see, this is what it's supposed to look like on the other side here. You can see the wear and tear, you can see the marks, there is some scuffs there, but looking at the rest of the golf ball, it actually isn't harmed at all from the net. It looks pristine, it looks brand new, and if I do feel that side that is scuffed up and I kind of touch it and feel it, it's not bad. That's a 9 out of 10. That's another really good score, especially considering that value there. I mean, you're paying such a low price and you're getting a golf ball that might be able to go 2 rounds. That's really significant. Last but not least, we have the Callaway here, and looking at this one again, so you can start to see some paint come off, but I don't mind that. There's a lot of kind of speckled in there. Looking on the other side, again, gorgeous. On that other side, it just looks brand spanking new. Around the golf ball, it looks great, has a great shine to it. Now, if I feel this side here, again, it's just fantastic. 9 out of 10. That's really good. I did not expect that. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. Two-piece firmer golf balls usually do pretty well when it comes to durability, but you know, I wasn't expecting all three to really blow me away like that, so that's fantastic. All right, so closing thoughts here. You know, when it comes to these golf balls, let's touch on the first thing, right? Are these for the average swinger? Probably not. I don't see anything there that would benefit somebody. And if you're someone who's like, well, the driver distance was great, yeah, but the launch was so low. I mean, I guess maybe if you're someone who all you care about is driving distance and you also have a habit of launching the ball way too high, sure, it could work, but let's be real. None of those numbers were eye-popping enough to really say, I mean, we test so many golf balls on this channel. Go watch a different review. You'll find a golf ball pretty quick that probably fits you better. But here's where I need your guys' help as a community. I don't know if these are good for fast swingers or not. I really don't. And we've seen this with golf balls like the Callaway Warbird where, you know, I tested it, I didn't like it. I was like, I don't know who this is for. And then you guys came as a community and said, hey, I swing 115 and I love it. Hey, I swing 110, I love it. Oh, okay, so it's for faster swingers. Great. And now we know there's a lot of people on this channel who really love the Callaway Warbird. It's for fast swingers. That's why this community thing is such a glorious thing, and I love it. Because that's what we can do. And this is where I need your help again. I don't know if these are good or not for fast swingers or not. I couldn't tell you. So if any of you have any feedback about if you swing 105, 110, 115, 120, whatever, if you get your hands on any of these and you test them out, let me know what your thoughts are. I'd love to know if they are better for the faster swinger. But for average swinger, they're just not. But there's a couple things I want to talk about here. Let's start with the Pinnacle, distance. Here's what bothers me. I don't mind the Pinnacle Distance. It's a solid golf ball that has a market, which is what I like. I don't mind that it has a market. It has good value. It has a yellow option. It does a lot of things decently well, okay? My problem is, why did you discontinue the Rush and the Soft? Like the Rush and the Soft were not even close to what this golf ball is. The Rush was a nice like medium compression, great for average swingers. It had this soft bouncy ball feel and it had feedback. It was so different. I mean, it's been a top 15 golf ball on this channel for 2 years in a row. It's fantastic. The Soft, it's for slower swingers, so it didn't test as well with me. But a lot of you have come forward who are slower swingers and said, oh no, you can't beat the value. Like Titleist, basically a Titleist made golf ball, you know, for 15 golf balls, 20 bucks, you can't beat it. So the feedback is just universally incredible. Why are we canceling those two to put a two-piece distance 115 mile an hour golf ball out? I don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. Now, I'm sure there could be a different reason. It might. I've heard that from some of you that it might be because of the golf ball roll back, and I don't know. I don't know. That's just a guess. All I know is I'm upset, and I have a right to be. You're taking away two amazing golf balls and replacing it with one that I can't use, and frankly, I probably won't recommend to that many people. I mean, sure, if you're a 115 mile an hour swinger and you tell me, hey, I want to play a two-piece ball because I'm still high handicap, sure, I might throw it in the mix, but that's it. I mean, I was recommending the Pinnacle Rush to everybody who wanted a two-piece forgiving golf ball. I don't know if that's a good move or not. We'll see. Time will tell. Now, when it comes to Bridgestone, like I said, I like the fact that they have this golf ball because Bridgestone didn't have a golf ball like this. This actually fits a really unique market for them. So if you're a Bridgestone guy, but you're a fast swinger, but you're like, man, these three pieces, I'm not staying in bounds. I want something that's just a little bit more forgiving and straight. You know, I need distance golf ball. This fits that. And if you guys try it out and tell me it's great, I would love to recommend this to fast swingers because Bridgestone needed this in their lineup. I don't mind it at all. Callaway, on the other hand, look, Callaway, I love you guys, but did you need another distance golf ball? You have the Warbird, you have the Diablo, you have the Hex. Well, the Hex is a softer, but I mean, if you just look at some of the golf balls they have, the Hex Tour, the Diablo, the Riva, the Super Soft Max, all their tour balls, you know, it's like at a certain point, you're just like, how many more golf balls do you need? So I don't know that this golf ball was really needed. Maybe it was just to be along with PGA Superstore and just kind of do a deal. I don't know. But I don't know. I mean, again, I'll listen to your guys' feedback, but I'm just not really sure it was needed, and we'll see going forward if we learn any more information about it. Guys, as always, keep watching, keep saving, keep learning. Thank you for being here for this. I will have another review for you in just a few days. I look forward to it. I'll see you then. Bye-bye.